Um, yeah. So I go. I'm 2 hours late. I like. I'm like. The bar doesn't even look like it's open anymore. Right. This party is supposed to be from 7:30 to 11. I get there a little bit before 9:30. And I go up to the guy at the door. He's like, "You here for this event?" I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "What's your name?" I give my name. He checks list. He's like, "All right, go in right into that door." I go in. The bar is like, I mean, it's dead. You know, it's like PR people, and then there maybe was 12 non-PR people there, right? So I'm like I've missed my opportunity, like to get anything done here really outside of like they gave me some stuff, right? Which I
Mm.
will, lay out and show out and talk about. And I sit down at the bar and I'm like, the cocktails are free. Let's go, right? So I get a cocktail, I knock it back. I order another one. And I'm like, let me go. I'm talking to the bartender and stuff like that. I'm like, hey, was it busy earlier? He's like, yeah, it was swamped. Like 7:30, this place was packed. He's like, but people didn't stay that long, you know? Um, and what they had there is they had like a display table that kind of showed all the products you go and take pictures of, which I do have some pictures of and stuff. And they also had like when you first walked in, they gave you a bag that had some swag in it and some product in it. And they were like, here's a quest list. You have to get these cards by trading with the other attendees. I look around and she goes, if you're not able to complete the quest, come anyway. I'll still give you your prize. And I'm like, all right, thank you. Um, and then they also had like a photo booth thing that I was planning on going and doing. Right, basically you get a picture of yourself as a Lorcana card, and so it was very like, I mean, the bar was very nice. It was very like what I assume these press parties are like. Um, but again, it's like basically dead. So he says, yeah, it was packed. People left. And so I'm like, all right, let me go look around because I know the play area's outdoors. So I walk outdoors with my cocktail and I see some people at the table and like everybody's partnered up. Yeah.
Oh, quick question. What are
Yes.
Disney themed cocktails?
Yes. They were all based around the different, there was the Enigma, there was the Inventor, there was like, yes, they were all themed. Okay. I also got macaroons that were 6 macaroons, each different colors and flavors, and they were based on the different inks, right? So there was like an amethyst, there was a steel, there was an amber, and they were
You
delicious.
you ate like 20K worth of macaroons right there.
Oh
You could
yeah,
put them on
100%. If I could have
eBay.
just froze them, yeah.
Yeah.
No. So I go to the back, and people are playing, and they're all paired off and stuff like that. And then I go over and I see there's one gentleman wearing a Ravensburger T-shirt and stuff like that, and he's talking to somebody else, and the person's asking him questions and stuff like that. And I'm like, huh, he looks familiar. I was like, let me just check something real quick, right? And so obviously I went to this thing, I did a little bit of research, and I recognize him as one of the co-designers of this game, Steve Warner. And so I'm like, screw it. Finish my second cocktail. I got a nice little buzz going on. I go over and I am standing there and I wait my turn and then I start to interject and talk and start asking some questions. And the fact that I was late, I think, played to my benefit because I ended up spending an hour and a half talking with the co-designer of the game, Steve Warner, basically having like a one-on-one because the other gentleman ended up stepping away and leaving. And so I got to sit there and talk to him, ask him questions about the game, about Ravensburger, about Disney. PR came over at one point, and obviously, like they see me with my press badge talking to him for an hour plus. They come over.
Yeah.
I start talking with them and telling them, at one point I had said to him I had asked him a question that I was like, hey, just and this is I don't have my recording equipment with me. Like this could be off the record if you want, blah blah. And his response was, I've already learned that nothing's off the record. And so PR comes over, sits down, and they're
PR's like,
hey,
excuse
yeah,
me,
yeah.
excuse me.
They come over.
He says that, but we don't.
Yeah.
The PR comes over like an hour into our conversation and comes over and it's like, hey, like, I'm so and so, like, you're, I don't recognize you, blah blah. And I was like, oh, I'm so and so with the work print. I'm so and so. I'm Roberto with the work print, and they're like, oh yeah, I recognized your name. Like, you're new to us, right? And I was like, yeah. And I told him, I was like, the site mostly focuses on pop culture, TV, movies, and stuff like that. But we sent somebody to Gen Con last year, and there was a bunch of content. It did great numbers and stuff like that. And we are all, a lot of us are passionate about trading card games and stuff like that. So that started to become part of our content. And so, yeah, they sent me out for this. And I told them, I told them that I was like, you guys got him trained really well, because I told him that it was off the record. And his response was this, and they were like, yeah, he's learned well, like, and it was awesome. I asked him things from, like, you know, uh, how it felt to be able to work on a project like this and design something like this. And he goes, obviously, everybody dreams of being able to work with an IP like Disney, right?
Yeah.
I asked him, is this something that you guys had been thinking about and then put a Disney skin, or is this built from the ground up, when you guys were asked to, like, work on this project and stuff like that? Which, at the time, was totally innocent question.
Was it? I
Then
think that was already.
no,
They were already.
it was a totally innocent question that I didn't think about fully.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay,
okay,
okay, okay.
It was, and then his face when I said that made me realize that was probably a slightly loaded question that I didn't mean to be, because maybe I had forgotten about the whole,
Yeah.
lawsuit going on and stuff like that. But he says that, no, this is something that when they were approached, they started thinking about and building. And the idea behind the whole thing, and what the goal of the project is, and the game is to be completely accessible to everybody, right? Is to have something that, uh, kids can pick up and play. Disney adults who don't normally play TCGs can collect and play, but still have the depth that organized play is a thing, right? And that, like, people do compete, people do, like, dig deep into the strategy and into the metas and stuff like that, and that becomes a thing, right? And so, being who I am, and the fact that when I just played in a tournament for 7 hours and stuff like that, I started to focus a little bit on organized play and what their approaches were to that, right? I asked them questions like, hey, as far as balance is concerned, are you guys more likely to take, like, a wait and see approach to kind of see how the meta develops, and how much time in between releases, or are you guys quick to go in there and be kind of heavy handed? And he basically said, like, look, nobody wants to take something out of the player's hand, right? We don't want to say, okay, this card is banned when you just got that card. Like, that doesn't feel great. But at the same time, that's not going to stop us from making sure that the game is balanced and the play experience is there. Because the only way for this game to have a long life is for it to meet that, to
Fans
be
and Aratus.
balanced. And
Yeah.
yes, right? And I asked him, I was like, okay, well, like, when it comes to those kind of decisions, right? How much influence does Disney have in something like that, right? How much influence do they have in, like, what characters you're using, and where you got what you guys are putting out, stuff like that? And he's like, honestly, like, they give us free reign, you know? He's like, they trust us, right? Because we've been the ones doing this for years, and they don't, like, we come to them and they haven't been like, no, you can't use this, or you can't use that, and can't do this, can't do that, Um, and
Imagine if they said, "Yeah, Mickey better win an event in the first
yeah,
year."
right. Yeah, exactly. And so, and he said, he's just like, no, they're like, they trust us, And at that point, I started talking to him about, like, yeah, I mean, I know that Ravensburger, which I found out how to pronounce properly there, because for the longest time I called them Ravensburger. It turns out that
Oh.
Ravensburger is a city in Germany where they started and where their headquarters. But that, yeah, done they had produced Disney Villainous, right? They had created and made Disney Villainous, which is actually one of my favorite board games, and to this day continues to be a strong line, where they've released Marvel Villainous, they've released Star Wars Villainous. They were actually just they recently released an expansion for Star Wars Villainous, and at Gen Con, I don't know if they showed it off there or if they it was recently, but they have a new like kind of relaunch of Disney's Villainous to coincide with all their 100 years of Disney stuff they've been doing. And he said, yeah, that like we already established that we have a love and respect for these IPs and these properties. And that's one of the things that we want to show in the game is that like we don't want the cards to have the face of all these famous characters, Aladdin and Rapunzel and stuff like that, and not also fit in thematically, right? Um, the way that Lorcana works is that their spell cards in this game are called songs, okay? And so, in order to play a song, you either tap the required amount of ink, or to pay its cost, or you can tap a character that's worth a certain amount, right? And then play it essentially for free, okay? And so one of the cards that they talked about was like Ariel, okay? When Ariel is in mermaid form, you can tap her to play songs, and she's actually a singer, so she's worth more. Like you can play, even though she's only worth 3. When it comes to singing songs, she's worth 5 or whatever. But when she's in her on land form and she has no voice, you can't use her to sing songs. And so they like everything that they have put into this game, in the design of this game, from the art to the mechanics and stuff like that, are meant to be in line thematically with the actually properties themselves that they're using. And that's the thing that I think is going to appeal to the more casual player, right? And it's also one of those things that like for people who might want to take it more competitively, when they first try out a character, try out a deck, it also helps them understand like, oh, I see. Of course, this character is trying to do this. You know. Um, I also talked to him about how much influence they had, right, or the design team had in like say alternate arts, okay, and rarities
Mm-hmm.
and stuff like that, and if that was more of like a marketing side. And he was like, that is more of like them, but we also have a ton of say in it. Like we we everybody who works on this product is working on it together because it is such a like massive deal. You know, um, I also talked about like how how it feels to kind of see the excitement that's going on at Gen Con,
Yeah,
right?
that's
And
gonna be my question.
yeah, is it like yes, I'm so happy that all these people are like excited for this thing that I helped create, or is it like, oh my god, I can't mess this up, And it very much was like as you would expect. He's like, it's mostly I'm excited that people are excited for my thing, but also yeah, there is also this added pressure and stuff, you know.
Yeah.
I even talked to the PR team and asked them like, what their thoughts were on this weekend, and they were like, honestly, they knew that there would be excitement because of like the way that the buzz coming out of D23 and stuff like that, but even this caught them off guard, and that like, you know that that like you said, that like they were happy that they were able to work with like Gen Con and stuff like that to kind of get something that did make sure that at least like, because there was going to be no stopping these people waiting in line,
Yeah.
right? But to kind of come up with a solution that also that kept them safe as best they could and stuff like that, and kept it organized, and that the response had been like wholly positive, across the board. And that had been my impression as well at the show. Like I didn't bump into anybody that was like, "Oh yeah, Lorcana, it's overhyped," you know.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, no, it was like it sounds silly to say because it's a trading card game. I'm at this gaming convention and stuff like that, and like I'm sitting across these people that like most people in the world have no idea who they are. And it was one of the coolest experiences of my life. Like it was like the whole thing was absolutely awesome. Um,
Rob called me after he left that
yeah,
party, and both him and I were just like giddy little school kids, like
yeah,
talking like it was Christmas morning and comparing gifts. But I was at home on the couch and I was like, no, 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 wife, this is important. I need all the details from Rob's date with Mickey Mouse right now.
And I know the one thing I came out of that, like sitting down and talking with Steve, and even sitting down and talking with like the PR, is that like they're in this for the long haul. Of course they are, right? I mean, this is a massive IP. They see kind of what trading cards are doing right now, and kind of the buzz around like the big hitters like Pokemon, right? Like the nostalgia for this stuff has never been higher, and I think the player base for a lot of these has never been bigger. And so they're in it for the long haul. It's very clear that they are trying to do this right. Okay. And in all facets, it does not, talking with them, it does not feel like a cash grab. It feels like they have a reverence for these characters, for these IPs, that they understand these characters and they understand these IPs, and they understand game design, right? They understand that, and their goal, right? Whether or not they're wholly successful, I think there's already some cards that seem a little bit stronger than maybe they should be, but their goal is to like, they want a game that is super accessible, that is but that is also like mechanically deep, right? And that will have variety to the strategies. Okay. And a lot of the decks and the way they work, they fit into different trading card game archetypes, right? There are rush decks, there are control decks, there are, but to see those archetypes also flavored thematically with Disney lore was like, is super exciting. And to see that like they are not just thinking about, hey, we got to get these different rarities out and get these promos out and stuff like that, but also the fact that they, or even just like talking to them about like being able to make sure they produce enough product. While that kind of stuff is on their mind, they are also giving equal weight and equal thought to things like balancing, to what organized play is going to look like 3 months from now, 6 months from now, and what they can do to support that. That's the other thing I asked them, I talked to them about, is like, supporting LGSs and how they're going to support organized play and to make it worthwhile for players to come out and to keep this game growing. I know anecdotally speaking that like allotments and of course the excitement for this game is so high. And we talked about this earlier, but like allotments to LSG's local game stores is smaller than they would like, obviously, right? Um, I know a lot of stores are like limiting how much they're selling per person and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like I can't, my LGS, who, like I consider the owner a friend at this point, and like he's been to my house multiple times and stuff like that. And I I've been talking to him about Lorcana. Like I don't care what he says. I was the first one to talk to him about Lorcana, right? And I've been talking to him forever, and he's always great about like when it comes to My Hero and stuff like that, like getting us what we need. And I've been talking to him, and he's like, dude, he's like, I'm so sorry, but like boxes are out of the question. You know,
Yeah.
he's like, we've only been given so much. I've gotta have some to the side for organized play as well. And like, so I understand that right now allocations probably aren't where people wish they were and stuff like that, but they are thinking about that kind of stuff, you
Yeah.
know? And this is the first time that they've done a TCG, this company and stuff like that. So they are also learning, but it feels like they're going into this with the right mentality, thinking about the right things. And I do think that this has the potential to be the next staple, right? To be the next like big thing that, my grandkids are collecting and playing, honestly, you know. I also asked them, a little bit of like, and of course I wasn't going to get answers to this, but like, you know, what are the limits on the properties and stuff like that? Like, are we, you know,
Kingdom Hearts is the question that's on
yeah,
everyone's mind. Are we gonna see Sora?
more it's more like, okay. And I tried to frame it, obviously I'm trying to get answers, so I'm trying to frame it, but I was like, if you could work with like, say, you know, different Pixar properties and stuff like that. Like, is that something that you'd be interested in? It's like, of course I'd be interested in it, but right now we're focused on this first set, the next set, and like, what we can get out.
Yeah.
Right. I think the question maybe would be if the game is as successful as it looks like it's going to be, how likely is an expansion of IPs? Because obviously Disney has access to, a lot.
Right.
And obviously everything isn't under the Lorcana umbrella right now. So
Oh, they could do so much, so quickly with it. Even like you could do like movie based expansions and just like you could do that
yes.
You could do that Aladdin expansion. Just imagine all the Return of Jafar
Yeah.
cards
Well,
you
I
could
mean,
do.
Aladdin's already in the first set, so.
Yeah.
I gotta take another look at the game. I'm not sold. I don't know.
So let's talk about that, and then what we're gonna do to kind of round out the podcast is I actually have some of the product here that I'm
Ooh.
going to soft unbox. Some of it's already open because, like I said, at the event itself, they were asking people to trade and try to collect them, and somebody did come up to me, and I didn't want to be like, I want to keep these sealed so I can open them on camera, and I was just like, you know what, whatever. But you know shout out to the PR people there. I sat down and talked with them and stuff like that. Told them like, yeah, the buzz for this is so massive and everything's sold out so fast with ticket wise and stuff like that. Like I wasn't even able to get a demo, right? And she gives me her business card. She goes, text me tomorrow. I'll see if I can get you a demo if there's an opening. And so I texted her and she responded. She's like, come right now and I'll get you in. So I got to go play and she was very clear. She's like, everybody who went and got a demo also got like, I think a starter deck afterwards. And she was like, hey, no product for this. This is just for informational. This isn't for content. You can't record anything. And I was like, that's totally fine. Like, and so I got to sit down. I got to play it. I might have talked about it on the podcast or maybe I just talked to you guys off camp before, but when I first watched people playing this game, I was like, doesn't seem that interesting from a gameplay mechanic and gameplay loop. I sat down, took that demo, and even though I got shellacked both times, okay, I walked out of that demo wanting to play more and thinking about it a lot and thinking about like the kind of deck I want to run and the strategy and what I should have done instead of what I actually did during that demo and stuff like that and playing those games. And it's very much like I talk about this with One Piece, right? My Hero and One Piece, totally different. My Hero, we push a ton of buttons, right? Whereas my piece is more focused on
My piece.
sorry, One Piece. Yeah, One Piece is more focused on resource management and like
Building an
when
army.
to push and when to hold.
Yeah.
Okay. Lorcana is very much like that. It is very much like when to push, when to hold, and then the added element of like, I can't use this card now. I won't be able to use it for a while. Should I just ink it or do I hold on to it and potentially play it? And maybe I get to the point where I can play it. It's going to be huge for me.
So, real quick, ink.
Yeah.
So is that like in Dragon Ball Super at the beginning of the turn, you have to choose a card in your hand and then put it face down in your energy and you use that to play cards? Is that the same thing?
Same thing.
Okay.
Yep.
Gotcha.
But there are some cards that can't be inked. Okay, it's only specific cards that can be inked. They have to have this little inkwell symbol around them.
Okay.
And so yes, and then they become unavailable to you. They are inked permanently. Okay. The other thing is when you play a card for the first time, and like I said, it's all thematic, right? When you play a card for the first time, it's just been drawn. The ink's not dry. It can't do anything that turn. Okay.
Someone's like, oh wait, can you ink it?
No, so you can ink a card, right? But then ink becomes a resource, right? And so when you go to play a card and you tap your ink, basically there's what is it? Summoning sickness, right?
Okay.
So it can't be played unless it has rush on it.
Okay. Gotcha.
So who's the Zoro of Lorcana?
Does Zoro have first strike or
Zero's
rush or
Rusher.
okay, yeah.
I don't remember off the top of my head. I was using, who was I using that had rush? It was one of the eels that Ursula uses. You
Okay.
know, had rush, but that's not the rush deck. I know for a fact that's not the rush deck. But anyway, and so I went in a skeptic, right? And I left being like, I'm not just excited to collect this game. I'm excited to play, and this is definitely going to be my second game. You know, like my yeah. My Hero is still my 8 game. Well, the problem with My Hero is once you push that many buttons, your brain can't go back to not pushing that many buttons. You know.
Yeah.
And so there's just like there's a rush to being like, all right, I'm drawing 6 cards. It's sort of my turn versus just drawing one. But I really enjoyed the demo. It is like the other thing is sitting down. I was like, I could teach anybody how to play this game. You know, like there is no barrier to entry for this. It is literally like step 1, step 2, step 3, and then the win condition is this. You know, it's a game I could teach my daughter, no problem. Like I said, I could teach pretty much anybody this game. I also feel like there is enough strategy here as well, besides it being like super accessible, that I could probably get my wife to play this game. Which
I've also heard it doesn't necessarily need to be a 1v1 game. You could add like multiple opponents as
so
well.
that's the other thing. I'm sitting down and playing the demo, and I did not know this at this point. I'm sitting down and playing the demo, and I read one of the cards, and one of the cards says opponents, not opponent, right? So I asked the person giving the demo, and they're like, "Yeah, it's you can play as many people," and it's because
As
there
many.
is
Holy shit.
there is. I mean, I'm sure I'm sure 4
Within
is actually
reason.
the number. Yeah,
Yeah.
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 But because there is no the way that Lorcana works is that there's it's not like My Hero where there's life points or One Piece. There's no life points. You're not attacking directly at somebody. Okay. The way you score is solely dependent on you. Okay. All the different characters, some of them have these little pips on the side of them, and that's how much lore they're worth when you go questing. Okay. And so in order to gain those coins, those points, you just quest. You gain that much lore. It's first to 20 lore. Now, obviously, or not obviously, but once you've quested, that character is now vulnerable to a challenge, and that's where any combat comes in this game. Okay, and where you compare offense and defensive stats and stuff like that. But because you're not attacking someone directly, and because people can't gang up on somebody, right? It's easy to pay with multiple people. You know. And because of the way that challenges work, like it's easy to keep track of someone challenging somebody else. And so, I mean, I have not been able to do that yet, obviously, because 1, they didn't have demo stations set up for more than 2 players, and 2, the product's not out there yet, so I can't like test at home. But I think it would be super easy to run like triple threat matches or team matches where you just go, all right, we're on a buddy battles, right? You're on a team, and we're trying to get to 35 lore instead of 20 each or whatever it is, and so I do think that opens it up for variety and stuff like that.
But like, just the thing that comes to mind is, isn't it the same thing as if I'm taking life points away from your opponent? It's just you're counting up to 20 instead of counting 20 down to 0. The only real difference
So-
being that your opponent can't block.
So I think when you're talking about a one-on-one, I think yes, they're very similar concepts, right? The difference being
Right.
it's not me going after you, it's just me doing my own thing, right?
Right.
So
And counting
one-on-one,
up, obviously, now you can.
yes, right. So
Yeah.
one-on-one, not that dissimilar. It really is. It's not that dissimilar. I think when you're bringing in extra people, it makes it easier to do that because it then doesn't become like because you're just worried about you.
Yeah.
You can't get ganged up on, if that makes sense. Like you can't just get shot out of the water by the 2 other people immediately, right? Because they
Unless you like leave your stuff committed or not
Right,
committed.
and
I don't
that-
know.
and
What's
that-
the stuff that goes on a quest called?
it might just be rested if
Okay, well, yeah, let's use rested. So like, unless you rest all your stuff and then everyone comes at you.
and challenges you, right? But then
Yeah.
I think the flip side to that is that so the way that challenges work as well is that like the challenging character also takes damage. Okay?
Mm,
Yes. And so
interesting.
even if everybody did challenge you, they've also left those characters in a vulnerable state as well. And
That's pretty
so
cool.
I think that's where some of the balancing stuff comes in, and why it's much easier to play with multiple people.
Mm.
All right, before I start opening stuff, any other questions about the event, the press only event, the food was awesome as well. I don't think I mentioned the food. And everybody was super nice. Like the PR, Steve Warner, everybody was super awesome. And way more like willing to talk about stuff than I anticipated.
Well,
I'm just happy you were happy, man. I know you
You can probably-
needed I know
probably
you
hear
needed a
me.
great weekend.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that was what you needed it to be.
I'm sure
But-
I got in the Uber on the way home. I texted Blah. I was like, "Hey, you still up?" Like,
Yeah.
and,
I'm like it's 11 o'clock. Of course I'm up.
I don't know. You got a kid.
I
Anyway,
know.
I'm sure you could hear me smiling through
Yeah.
that phone call and stuff. But yeah, all right. Any other questions before I start opening this stuff up? Because I'm gonna switch cam.
I want to see.
All right. So obviously, I didn't get a ton of stuff. It's not like I walked out of there with like
Oh,
thousands of dollars, right?
is that Steamboat?
Willie?
So
Yeah.
So this is a Lorcana playmat. This is one of the things I did not open, so I will open it right here. Again, disclaimer, all this stuff was provided to me by Disney, right? So shout out Disney, thank you guys so much. Disney and Ravensburger. So thank you. Got to make a huge disclaimer, okay? They didn't pay me to say any of this stuff, but they did provide the product here. And so,
But they gave the invite, and we want the next one.
yeah. And so, I own an insane amount of playmats already, right? It's just the nature of like One Hero. When you play in their competitive events, they give a ton. My One Hero. I just did the opposite of my piece.
Yeah, I was gonna let it go.
My Hero gives a ton of product and stuff like that. I saw these for the first time at the demo event. It's the first time I got to actually see these playmats laid out. I hope it shows on the camera. These are gorgeous.
The colors are nice.
That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool.
They are, and every single one of them is awesome. Now, I will say that I think this is the most popular one, and I don't know if this was in every box or every bag, or I just got lucky with my selection.
Yeah.
But it no, it is. I'm tempted to play all my card games on this playmat.
Yeah.
I like it so much. It also doesn't feel cheap, which I'm not gonna name names. This is not. I mean, My Hero mats feel great. There are other big games out there that give mats with their products and release mats all the time that don't feel great. That feel super cheap. This mat feels premium and feels awesome.
Oh my god.
Did you look up how much these are reselling for?
That's not what my initial thought was.
Part, yeah.
I just wanted to know what the other playmats were, and then it just brought me a TCG player, and they're all selling for 90. Oh my god!
Yes. Yeah, it's kind of wild.
But these mats are nice.
Yes. I mean, even like
90 doesn't seem too much to me.
I'm not the biggest
Maleficent
fan, but that one looks great in person.
Yeah, Maui. I think that's I'm pronouncing that right.
Yes, you are. Yes. The other thing is, so one of the other like dramas that kind of happened with Lorcana at the line is that they were going through the line, people waiting, and randomly giving out pins. And I think mostly they were focused on kids and stuff like that, But here are a couple of the Lorcana pins. This was just the
title.
Logo.
It's like a pin like you put on a backpack?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
And then here is
I love that one. The Mickey one.
Brave little Taylor Mickey.
Cool.
Got some of those. Got a
brave little Taylor.
Mickey Mouse 80 card deck box.
Oh, that's so cute.
Kevin, you might not know this about me, but one of my few talents in this world is I do, when it comes out right, I do a half decent Mickey Mouse impression.
What?
Yeah.
Wait, I gotta
Oh,
think about what he
oh,
sounds like.
oh my god.
Okay, I
It's
have it.
it's
All right,
it's actually really good, but I don't know if we want to risk
One
the
day,
wrath of.
one day, one
Yeah,
day.
yeah. I'll do it
Yeah,
another time when I'm not
yeah,
talking about Disney content.
exactly.
So yeah, and this is, I mean, it's similar to the deck boxes you get from other games.
Yeah.
I will say it's slightly bigger than some other games, which I like. Um, and again, I think that I mean, you can see what these are selling for on secondhand market. I think I continue to kind of love the art. I'm just like, I'm not a Disney adult. I'm not one of those psychopaths, but obviously I grew up, on Disney and stuff like that. Along with that, got
I feel obligated to put out a disclaimer. I have seen less than 10 Disney movies in my entire life.
really.
Just throwing that out there. I've never seen The Lion King. I
So all right,
Okay,
ready?
I was about to say nothing Kevin says shocks me anymore, and then he said I never saw The Lion King.
Okay.
no, you know what's funny? I just looked up the scene where like Simba and his father look over the cliff or whatever.
Yeah.
He's like, "What's that?" Because I was doing a meme and I wanted to know what he said because I didn't even know what he said.
The elephant graveyard scene.
No, he's like, "What's?" He's like, "This is the kingdom that you will rule one day." And he's
Yeah,
like, "What's
like,
that over there?" And
yeah.
he's like, "Don't." The meme goes like, "Don't go over there."
Yeah,
Or
that's
something like-
it's the elephant graveyard.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I don't
Yeah.
know what that is.
Oh my
All right,
god.
ready for my hot Disney take? I think that Lion King is slightly overrated. Yeah, I know.
I'm not missing much.
Listen, it was the first movie I saw in theaters, so it has a very special, fond place.
Yeah, I saw it
Really?
in theaters
Yeah.
too.
Power
Very-
Rangers Turbo for me.
We
Really?
got,
Yeah.
My parents
got
didn't take me to that one. I was so upset.
We got our card sleeves. I also think that Tangled is probably the most underrated.
Oh,
Disney
Tangled's
movie.
like one of the best.
It's absolutely fantastic.
Yeah. That was actually first date movie for me and my wife.
Ah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. So we got some card sleeves, and then the stuff that I think people actually care about. We're gonna go through right now.
For those card sleeves, how would you say the quality is against like?
I mean, you'd have to put cards in them to really know.
I mean,
Are
like,
they are the backs matte?
No.
No. Oh well, the front's matte, so the back should be matte. Is it really
No, it's
shiny
not-
on the
it's
back?
not- No. It is matte. It is matte. It is matte.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, double matte. That's
they-
probably gonna feel really good on the shuffle.
Yeah.
They don't feel slippery, which is nice.
Yeah.
I gotta put the cards in them. They look wide. Maybe I'm just.
you could definitely double sleeve those with inners.
But when you have double matte sleeves, they feel so good when you single sleeve.
Oh no, this feels good.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Ooh.
feel-
Double matte is the way. I'm never running non-double matte sleeves ever again.
Okay, so let's talk about
Unless they're player's choice. Player's choice is God.
booster packs. All right. So
Hmm.
I was provided 2 booster packs. Okay.
Two.
And
Ooh.
there are 12 cards in each booster pack. And
12.
so- yes.
Hmm.
And so
Does it say on the pack how many cards come in the set?
That's a good question. I know that we know. No, all it says is that it contains over 200 cards. That's what it says.
Okay, 12 makes sense.
I know the exact number is I think the exact number is 204.
We're playing Dragon Ball Super.
So 12 cards. The packaging feels premium. Like
It looks
doesn't-
crazy.
If it doesn't feel like, yeah, the art's great and it doesn't feel like a cheap pack. And
Hold on, do you see the reflection that I'm seeing right now?
That's what I was saying. They spent a lot on that pack.
yeah,
That
yeah.
looks crazy.
And also and this is so like, inside baseball nerdy thing, and it's because I've opened packs for like on TikTok and stuff like that. Opening the pack felt great. Like, this is a good pack open. All right.
Is this
so-
supposed to open that way?
I mean, that's how I opened it.
It
Is
looks like-
there a little notch at the
There's
top?
no notch. No.
Okay, okay,
It's
never
very
mind.
much like similar to like Pokemon cards, right?
Okay.
So Pokemon boosters.
Gotcha.
Okay, so um,
Oof. Oof.
here's what the back, and
Oof.
then here's some. We'll go through some of the art here.
Well,
You
wait, so
see,
one question before you get started.
yeah.
Where's the hit for the pack? Is it like last card or is it like
I believe it's last card.
last
Yeah,
card?
because I
Okay.
did, I must preface this by saying I did hit some foils. Um, I'm going to have to run and get them because I already put them in a binder.
Good
Okay.
man.
But yeah, so we can just see some of the cards. Here we go is the card that matches the playmat. Um, the art.
Upside down.
Oh, you're right. The uh the art doesn't feel like cheap screenshots, right?
Mm-hmm.
The other thing
Mm.
about this is that there are uh, 3 different types of the characters. So again, the whole idea behind this is that you're getting some of your classic characters seen in a different light. So we have right here, you'll see. I don't know if you can actually see the print on here, but it says Timon, Storyborn ally, and the Storyborn characters are the ones that are going to look more like what you were used to. And then you're going to have some characters that say Dreamborn, right? And this is Tinkerbell, the Tiny Tactician. So it's going to be slightly different than what you would have seen in
Mm.
the movie. Actions again, Storyborn. What I want to see is I can find a Floodborn in here.
Floodborn.
Bloodborne.
Yes.
That sounds like
Interesting.
traumatic Disney character background.
Yeah. Sounds like every One Piece character's backstory.
Yeah, yeah. Here we go. Here's another Dreamborn.
Captain Hook on a what?
Yeah. Here's another the Captain Hook, the forceful duelist. And then
Okay.
here's Belle. Here's another Dreamborn, the inventive engineer.
That's from like that Disney mobile game, right? Wasn't she like kind of?
These are all storyboard. So besides the 2 booster packs, I also received a starter deck. Okay.
Ooh.
Here we have the Sapphire Steel starter deck.
Mhm.
And then inside all the starter decks is also a booster pack.
Ooh, I did not know that.
Yeah.
Does
I
it
did
have a
not
price
know
tag on it?
until I found out. This does not. I know that MSRP is $20. That is not what
Okay.
they're currently selling for if you're trying to
Of
find
course
them.
not.
But
Of course.
so yeah, we can go through some of these. Give me one sec.
You know, I pre-ordered a bunch of Lorcana product from one store near me, and I don't know if they're gonna get when or if they're gonna get allotment because, and then without them having it, I don't know if I'm ever gonna get Lorcana cards at this rate.
Well, I mean, listen, I think September 1st. Okay, here we go. Here's a Floodborn, right? So we have
Ooh,
Mickey Mouse, the Artful Rogue.
Okay.
And
What's Floodborne mean?
so I don't have all the lore.
Let me try to find out.
All right. But like I know that one of the like chase cards, the enchanted cards, is a Bloodborne Tinkerbell, and she's instead of being a little fairy, she's like a giant. She's a wrathful giant.
Hmm.
All right. I know that play decks are 60 cards, and here we are going to take a look at what is in the starter deck.
It looks like Floodborns were created from a someone spilled some ink and created an ink flood, which created tons of characters wandering around.
All right.
Dreamborn were manifested by the Illumineer
Which
and
is
store.
who we are. We're Lumineers in this game.
Okay.
oh my God, the enchanted Tinkerbell. Oh my God, on eBay.
It's I know. It's awesome though.
It is.
I
It's
wanna
a
pull one so bad.
gorgeous card.
Yeah. Yeah, so in the starter deck we have the rules. There are instructions here for multiplayer games. And it says that it says 3 or more. So again, it doesn't put a limit on how many people can play. It does have some deck building tips, and then kind of the way that damage and stuff works. I will say that there is already a Lorcana app with a lore counter, and so that you can keep track of everything.
Wait, really?
Yes. Yep.
All right.
You can also keep track of your collection and stuff like that. Here we have some counters. These are damage counters that come with the starter decks. Okay, so you can keep track of when your characters have been challenged and stuff like that. It also has. So here's this little tiny kind of playmat guide, and then this thing right here is meant to. You can keep track of the lore. I gotta do this.
Wait,
Oh,
what?
the victory points is
The
essentially.
score, yep. So you can just move this up, keep track of your lore.
I kept sitting here like I've got an app for that.
I'm not. What? Can I use a dime? Do I have to move that big
No, of course.
piece of
You can use whatever
cardboard?
you want. I'm just showing you what comes in the thing.
True.
And then we have the actual starter deck itself. Is it weird that growing up
Ooh.
in Jersey, I see this paper and all I think is of like a pork roll egg?
No, you're not
Easter
wrong because
sandwich.
I just thought of like a croissant egg and cheese or a
Yeah.
bagel egg and cheese.
Yeah.
I was thinking about that little single serve cereal you get from the store.
Oh yeah, I did. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh my god.
All right. So we can go through this. Oh, here we go. Here's one of the foil cards that comes in the starter deck. Oh,
Ooh.
they're back to back.
Okay.
So Aurora
Tilt
back to back.
it up a little bit. The long way. Yeah, there it goes. Yeah. Okay, a little green in there and blue. Okay, nice.
Let's see if we can get any shine on the Simba. It's a little bit harder.
Oh, that's Simba. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
All grown
Rob,
up.
did they say how the deck building works in this game?
So we did not talk about that, but I know right here in the instructions, I know it's a 60 card deck, right? It's 2 different colors. Okay, here we go. Each Lorcana deck must follow these rules. Your deck must have at least 60 copies in it. Your deck cannot contain more than 4 copies of any single card.
Okay.
Your deck can only contain cards from 1 or 2 inks. So you can do mono ink if you want.
Ooh.
Okay. And there's no ratio between the inks. Okay.
Where does the cost to play a card? Is that the number at the top
Yes.
left? Does it have a color attached?
So this number no, because all ink is treated the same. And so you see how.
Where's the color come in?
So the colors are just their play styles essentially, right? So Sapphire is gonna want to do something that Steel doesn't want to do. Like they all have a general
Strategy.
Strategy, correct. Okay,
Right.
so here's a good example, right? So you see this Jasmine. You see how how this inkwell is surrounding it, and this is just the plain one, right?
Yeah.
So this can't be inked, whereas this one can. Okay.
Okay.
So whenever you go to ink a card, you always have to show it and reveal it to your opponent.
Right.
Just so they see that you're actually inking something that can be inked. Yeah. So my understanding is that Coconut Basket kind of broken right now.
What's it say?
Is the Simbas you just passed the same as the Hollow Simba
As
from
the
earlier?
foil one.
Yeah.
Let's see. Those are. I don't think so because I think that symbol was a steel. The foil one was a steel. Maybe not.
It's like all the way in the back, I think.
All right.
There.
So
The other one's blue.
yeah, this one's
Yeah.
steel. It's a 4/6. So yeah. So no, they are different.
Okay.
Wait, I didn't pass Simba's.
You just passed it.
No, that was Mufasa and Scar.
Oh,
Oh,
wait,
okay.
what? Oh, was that not Simba I was looking at? Oh, okay.
No.
Okay.
Wow, you guys are just. You think all lions are the same?
I can't even see it. I was just going off what Bilal said. Bilal led me astray. I don't appreciate it.
I was really far away.
Yeah.
Mhm,
It's my
mhm.
fault. The camera's not. But
Yeah, it's a good idea not to put two different versions of the same character in a starter deck.
I will. Yeah, agreed. just for confusion purposes.
Yeah.
Also, the my understanding is that the starter decks, the cards also appear in the booster packs as well, right? So it's
All of
not a
them?
yes, it's not a situation where I mean they might not have the foil treatment. Not I don't want to don't quote me on that, but it's not a situation where like you have to buy multiple copies of the starter decks. The starter decks are just meant to be like, hey, you can pick up and play right now from this. Um,
Hmm.
Obviously, to guarantee it, if you wanted to, for meta purposes or something, um, you could pick up multiple starter decks. But and then let me go ahead and went and got my binder so I can pull out the foils that I have so far.
As you do that, it's really funny. You know how in universes they have like some of the mats have the hearts at the top of the mat to kind of track your life. It's
Yeah,
like Lorcana that would fit even more because you're just counting to 20.
right.
So if they had like the thing
I
from 0 to 20 on the
I
mat,
thought that as well, but then I thought about how that would actually look on the playmats themselves. And one of the things that I
Hmm.
do like about these playmats is just how clean they look. It's also one of the reasons why I like the Trigun and the Cowboy Bebop mats
Hmm.
and some of the other like I have mats that have the heart counters at the top, and I
Hmm.
always end up picking the other ones. And granted, that's because I use your well crafted
Yeah.
app to keep track of the damage. Um,
Well, yeah, it's just like in this game, you have to keep track of where you are from 0 to 20. It's
yeah.
like I don't know. It feels a little bit different. Maybe it's not. Maybe I'm tripping. I don't know. Anyway, but also you like as there's players who just like having mats with all the zones and all the information right on it.
Um, Hold on. Give me 1 second. I am just zooming in on the cards and changing the focus. Kind of not doing them justice. Okay. All right, here you go. And then these are all foil. Again, it's hard on the webcam to kind of see, but you can kind of see on her face, right? Some of the foil treatment there. Um, I
Oh, there it is.
Yeah, I will say that like yeah, it's hard, man. It's kind of hard to you can see yeah, you can see the reflectiveness right here, right?
Yeah, yeah,
That
yeah.
shows the best. Um, I and I'm these are just like looking at the rarity types, right? So you can see that like I wish I had the whole list in front of me, but it's basically um the different shapes also show the different rarity types. So
I
this
can read them
one,
off if you need.
oh yeah, can you?
So yeah, so we got common is a gray circle,
Yep.
uncommon is a white book. A book? Okay. Rare is a bronze triangle. Super rare is a silver square. Legendary is a gold pentagon, and enchanted is a rainbow hexagon.
Yeah. And so you can see that there are different uh, rarities down at the bottom, and they get different foil treatments as well. And so some of these, like I mean, the Stampede one looks good, but these two, especially this one, and I know it's not showing on cam as well. This one looks real. The foil treatment looks really, really nice in person, and so
Mm.
it's just one of those things where it has just like a nice sheen and shine to it. Um, and so I don't know, man. It got as like I said, as somebody who plans on also, you know, collecting in this game, I am very excited so far about what I've got my hands on and what I've seen at the booth and stuff like that.
That's
So
awesome.
again, once again, thank you to Ravensburger and Disney for giving me the opportunity to even be able to open it here on stream and show some of this stuff off. and hopefully we'll be doing more unboxings and actually do some maybe some webcam games if Bilal can get his hands on any, and if I can convince Kev to play a little bit with me.
Yeah, I mean, I'm hoping. Recovering from COVID makes me just a little bit wary of going out to stores. I
Oh,
mean, I
yeah.
could definitely wear a mask because according to new CDC guidelines, and I'll be fine outside. But I'm still just trying to be considerate.
Yeah.
Um,
So that was the other thing as I was saying is that listen, I think it is going to be difficult for people to get their hands on this from LGS's starting this Friday. I mean, it's just the allocations are just not there and stuff like that. Um, but there are like a like I said, Amazon, Best Buy, Walmart, Target, I believe, Barnes and Noble. They're all expected to carry this on September 1st. There are stores that are online only that don't have actual LGSs that are supposed to be selling starting September 1st as well. And then just like Pokemon does with Pokemon Center, Shop Disney will carry Lorcana product on September 1st as well. I know that some of the shops at the parks are supposed to be carrying it on the 18th, and they're treating those like LGSs, but shopdisney.com itself should have product at on September 1st. And my understanding and the research I've done is that that particular store refreshes at uh, midnight Pacific time, so it'll be 3 a.m. our time. Um, so I will be up late.